When the American Civil War ended in 1865, the South faced not only military defeat, but also a severe economic crisis. For 4 years, the Confederate states had devoted enormous resources to sustaining the war effort. By the time fighting ended, much of the region's economic infrastructure had been damaged, its financial system had collapsed, and the labor system that had supported its agricultural economy had been fundamentally transformed. Rebuilding the Southern economy would become one of the greatest challenges of the Reconstruction era. Before the Civil War, the South's economy was heavily dependent on agriculture. Cotton was the region's most important export, and millions of enslaved African Americans provided the labor that made large-scale plantation agriculture possible. Tobacco, rice, and sugar were also significant crops in certain regions. While some industry existed, the South remained far less industrialized than the North. This dependence on agriculture and enslaved labor left the Southern economy particularly vulnerable to the disruptions caused by war. As the conflict continued, agricultural production declined sharply. Large numbers of white men left farms and plantations to serve in Confederate armies. Fields were neglected, equipment wore out, and livestock numbers decreased. In many areas, military campaigns disrupted planting and harvesting seasons. Union armies frequently seized food, animals, and supplies as they moved through Confederate territory. By 1865, agricultural output had fallen well below pre-war levels. The destruction of transportation networks further worsened the situation. Railroads had been essential to moving crops, supplies, and military equipment across the South. Throughout the war, Union forces targeted rail lines, bridges, and depots in an effort to weaken Confederate logistics. As a result, many railroad systems were heavily damaged by the war's end. Even where crops could still be produced, transporting them to markets became difficult and expensive. The financial condition of the South was equally severe. During the war, the Confederate government printed large amounts of paper money to fund military operations. As confidence in Confederate victory declined, the value of this currency collapsed. By 1865, Confederate money had become virtually worthless. Families who had saved their wealth in Confederate currency found that their savings had disappeared. Perhaps the most significant economic change came from the end of slavery. The abolition of slavery through the 13th Amendment transformed the labor system on which much of the Southern economy had depended. Millions of formerly enslaved people were now free and could no longer be forced to work without compensation. Plantation owners who had relied on enslaved labor suddenly faced a new reality in which workers expected wages, contracts, or some form of economic independence. For many white landowners, this transition created uncertainty. They still owned land, but often lacked the cash needed to pay workers or invest in rebuilding. At the same time, formerly enslaved people sought greater control over their labor and family lives. Negotiating new labor arrangements became one of the most important economic challenges facing the post-war South. One system that emerged during Reconstruction was sharecropping. Under this arrangement, landowners allowed workers to farm a portion of their land in exchange for a share of the crop. In theory, sharecropping provided opportunities for both parties. Landowners gained labor, while workers gained access to land they did not own. In practice, however, the system often trapped both black and white farmers in cycles of debt. High interest rates, unstable crop prices, and dependence on local merchants made economic advancement difficult. The cotton industry illustrates both recovery and limitation in the post-war South. Cotton production gradually increased during the years after the war because global demand remained strong. However, the profits generated by cotton were often unevenly distributed. Many small farmers struggled financially, while larger landowners attempted to regain their economic position. The region remained heavily dependent on a single crop, making it vulnerable to price fluctuations and poor harvests. Urban centers also faced challenges. Cities such as Richmond, Atlanta, and others required extensive rebuilding. Factories, warehouses, and transportation facilities had to be repaired or reconstructed. Although some industrial growth occurred during Reconstruction, the South remained economically behind the rapidly industrializing North. The federal government played a limited role in economic recovery. Programs associated with Reconstruction sought to stabilize the region. But there was no large-scale national plan to rebuild the southern economy. Instead, recovery depended largely on private investment, local labor arrangements, and gradual restoration of transportation systems. This process moved slowly and unevenly across different parts of the South. Despite these challenges, recovery did occur over time. Railroads were rebuilt, agricultural production increased, and commercial activity gradually resumed. However, the South that emerged after the Civil War was not the same South that had existed before 1861. The collapse of the Southern economy in 1865 was therefore more than a temporary crisis. It marked the beginning of a long transformation that would influence the region for decades.